BNC, 100% black and brown host all day. Finally, news that speaks to us.
Historically black colleges and universities are now eligible for federal campus security grants. It follows 17 HBCUs getting bomb threats for weeks. Vice President Kamala Harris just made that announcement minutes ago. And joining me now for more insight is Reverend Tyshawn Gardner. He's the VP of Student Affairs at his alma mater, Stillman College, which is a historically black college. He's also an adjunct professor there. Thank you so much for being with us today here on BNC. Let's start with this announcement. The Biden administration announcing that HBCUs are eligible for federal grants to improve campus security, expand mental health resources, other things. Is this enough after 17 HBCUs received bomb threats for weeks?
It's a start, Lavern. We know that this is shocking, but it is not surprising. We know that our country has a long history of targeting, well, people in our country have a long history of targeting black institutions. HBCUs have historically been a part of that. This is a great start. We appreciate the White House and their efforts to fund and resource these HBCUs to offer mental health professionals, an increase in training and additional law enforcement on their campuses. But much more has to be done. We have to also do a better job at training in an ideology of peace and equality. It was surprising to see that these perpetrators were teenagers. They are being indoctrinated in this ideology of hate early. So although this is a start, we're thankful for it, but much more has to be done.
Now, the White House says what these HBCUs witnessed was reminiscent of the attempts during the civil rights era to intimidate and provoke fear in black Americans. What did you tell your students during that time?
We told our students and parents that we were in touch with federal, state, and local agencies to ensure that our campus is safe. We also apprise our campus community of the news that Vice President Harris gave the world in terms of how the White House was communicating with HBCUs in terms of fundings. But we also sent a message of resolve. We will not be intimidated. We will maintain our cultural identity. We will put our best foot forward. We will not be intimidated by these atrocities and these threats. But when these things happen, parents and students alike first want to know that their children are safe. And so the first order of business for us, from our president, Dr. Cynthia Warwick, was to ensure that we were in touch with these law enforcement agencies and that we had all the training that we needed to ensure that, unfortunately, if these things were to happen on our campus at Stillman, we would be prepared to act decisively and safely.
Absolutely. I think everybody believes that safety is the number one concern. But how specifically would you use that money to make the campus safer? Because if you're getting bomb threats, somebody's calling in, you don't know where the call is coming from, you don't know if it's true or not. What are the type of things that the administration could put into place to keep the staff and students safer if that sort of thing happened again?
Right. We will begin with increasing our technological resources. Stillman College is perhaps the safest place in Tuscaloosa. We sit on 105 acres. It's a gated community. And we have 24-hour, 365 days of campus security. So we have personnel on campus every minute of the day. But we would use those resources to increase those numbers, to bolster our technological monitoring systems in our residence halls, in our entrance ways. We would use it in those ways. Technology would be a way in which we would invest security measures in our dorms, entrance gateways into campus, but also Training. Training is essential. You could have the personnel, but the personnel needs to be trained. So those are three ways in which we would use those resources.
Now, today actually is the anniversary of President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris' visit to Atlanta after those deadly mass shootings at the spa there that resulted in 8 people being gunned down. 6 of those, of course, were Asian women. I know we're talking about schools, but how much of an issue is targeted violence in America right now?
It's a big issue, and it's targeted, Lavern, not only in these physical acts, but this is an ideological war. We know that in our country there is a backlash. It's no accident that these incidents happened January 31st and the first day of February, Black History Month. And so with this pushback of mainly Southern governors on critical race theory, we have a sector of this country that wants to control the historical narrative. And so it's more than just bombs and guns. This is an ideological war that we are fighting, and it's very serious. So we have to do more in terms of getting to the voting booth, vetting politicians and public servants that's going to be fair and equitable and courageous, and also educators that's going to tell the sometimes conflicting narrative of American history the way it ought to be told. And that means on every level. CRT is not an indoctrination into hate. And so we have to do more to tell the truth and to find solutions that will end up in peace, equity, and unity for all Americans.
All right, thank you so much for your perspective. Appreciate your time. Reverend Tyshawn Gardner, thank you so much for joining us.